Hello, and welcome to Wikinative TV. I'm James Laurie, aka Wikinative, and today I am going to be talking about my new page creation process. Now, this process differs from my draft preparation and publication service. Um, If you want me to go over a draft that you've created in house and prepare it for publication on Wikipedia, or if you've got a draft already quarantined in Wikipedia's draft space, um, then you will need to um, use my draft preparation and publication service. The best way to initiate that is to order a draft review and alongside your preliminary notability assessment. Um, but yeah, basically, if the client wants me to go over something they've written themselves, prepared in house, there's twice as much work involved, really. So I have to make considerable changes to something that's been written by a copywriter to make it eligible for Wikipedia, because it's a completely different style to boilerplate copy. So yeah, this is about my new page creation process. I get a lot of inquiries and have a lot of initial meetings, and this question comes up a lot. They want, people want to know what my process is. Fair question. Sometimes people kind of want to know if I kind of have any sort of special tricks of the trade or anything like that. I don't. I get my pages to stick on Wikipedia simply by following the platform's content policies, guidelines, and manual style to a T. Um, so, first point I want to make is I don't offer a white hat service. I don't disclose my conflict of interest on Wikipedia. I kind of feel that that's a waste of time. I've already done a video on this topic, but a lot of people ask me if I do, COI disclosure or, what my COI disclosure process is. And I just, want to make it clear that I don't do COI disclosure. Technically, I am a black hat. I don't particularly like that term, although it does sound quite cool. I consider myself more as a grey hat, really, because once I'm on Wikipedia, I don't do anything that a volunteer wouldn't do. The only difference is I don't disclose my conflict of interest, but equally, I don't let my conflict of interest influence the content. So yeah, I have full page creation rights on all of my accounts. Wikipedia places its trust in editors to upload quality content, and if an editor abuses that trust, those rights are taken away and the account's blocked. So I'm very keen to make sure that anything I do upload to Wikipedia is compliant. Simply because if I don't comply with Wikipedia's content policies and guidelines and manual style, I risk losing my account, and it's also going to backfire on the client. The client's not going to get a Wikipedia page into main space. They may even get blacklisted, delisted on Google, So it's really, really important for any clients working with me to follow my lead and get on board really with Wikipedia's way of doing things and processes. Um, a lot of people want to do an initial call with me. That's great. I put a lot of work into meetings with clients. Back when I first started, I used to do free meetings and just found a lot of people would, take advantage, really. They just want to sort of, know how I do what I do, and then they'd go off and do it themselves. Um, so now I insist that if you want to call with me, you pay me £120 for half an hour of my time. And that means that I can actually do the proper research that's required before the meeting, but also I find like doing face-to-face meetings drains my energy. So usually after a meeting, I have to sort of go off and reset and things. So I never just jump on a quick call with somebody. Anything like that is always done with a paid meeting. And you can schedule a paid meeting with me via Calendly. I keep 3 11 o'clock slots free per week that you can book through my Calendly. My office hours are 11 till 11:30 on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Team. When it comes to team calls, it is £120 per team member. So you're probably just going to want to put the one team member on the call. Find when I'm doing calls with multiple people, it feels like an audience, which is even more draining for me. And there's been times that the audience has ganged up on me. I'm not Wikipedia's customer services. People seem to sometimes treat me like I am. I don't allow anybody to record my calls because they could use that knowledge to start their own Wikipedia operation, and I just think it's creepy, to be honest. I never just jump on a quick 10-minute call. I already said that. But yeah, because it means I have to drop what I'm doing and divert my focus elsewhere, which isn't fair on my existing clients, isn't fair on my paying clients. Yeah. So yeah, my call booking process, it lets me know if the client is serious enough or not. If a client's willing to pay me £120 up front for my time on the call, then I know they're serious. I know they've got a decent budget. So it's a good way of sort of weeding out the jokers. Step one of my new page creation process is the notability assessment and draft review. Now, a notability assessment is a very simple thing. I look at the subject's best 10 pieces of earned media. Quite a lot of times, especially with sort of PR middlemen, I actually have found that subjects or clients don't understand the meaning of the word 10. So if the subject doesn't understand the meaning of the word 10, and sends me an Excel spreadsheet containing 400, sometimes 1,000 links to paid trade journals, backlink blogs, or other forms of paid media, I will kindly request that the client go back and whittle it down to 10 sources that cover the subject from a biographical perspective, whether that's a living subject, a living person, or a company. I really want to see secondary sources from reliable media outlets that cover that subject throughout a chronology that spans, 10, 20 years. And I also, want to see sources that provide a bit of, analysis, a little bit of criticism, secondary sources, basically, sources that, combine primary sources and then discuss them. Generally speaking, you will know if you're notable enough for a Wikipedia page, because the press will be beating a path to your door with a living subject. For British living subjects, I usually expect to see something like a feature in the Sunday Times, How I Made It column, or a feature in the Financial Times, along with a feature in the Guardian, and in addition to that, hopefully also some features in some of the other publications like the Independent, iNewspaper, and also trade press. But it's really important to have that top tier coverage from a newspaper, a national record, whether that's Le Mode in France or El País, La País in Spain, or not the New Yorker, what's New York Times, America's newspaper, a national record. So in the initial notability assessment, preliminary notability assessment, client pays me for 2 hours of my time. That's 2 hours of my, non-face-to-face time. It is a written assessment. So that's going to be £240. And they're paying me to look at their earned media and write a report on that earned media, identifying whether they can get onto Wikipedia with the earned media that they have. So Wikipedia uses a tool called the source assessment table to assess sources to see if they can be used to support notability. So here I have drawn in my notebook a little sketch of the source assessment table. So you can see we've got a few columns here. We've got the URL goes there, the source. Is it significant? Is the coverage significantly in depth? Does it cover the subject over a broad time frame? Next, is it independent? Has any money exchanged hands for that source? If there's any kind of disclosure of conflict of interest, then that's going to obviously render that source non-independent. Is it reliable? And by reliable, I mean, is it highlighted green? WPRSP, which is the perennially reliable sources, page on Wikipedia, you can view that by putting WP:/RSP into Google, and that should bring up the list of sources that Wikipedia deems reliable. So in the top column, horizontal here, we've got an example of a reliable source, i.e. the Times, and then I've got an example of, a paid trade journal, which probably isn't, if you've paid for your coverage, then anybody can buy notability that way by paying for their media. So obviously that's not going to be suitable for Wikipedia. If you have created a draft in-house that you want me to look at, I did mention this earlier, it is an extra £120 if you want me to look at your draft. And if you want me to kind of move ahead with your draft, you will need my draft preparation and publication service, not my new page creation service. So that is the preliminary notability assessment phase. If I deem the subject to be notable enough for Wikipedia, I will give them the go-ahead to move ahead with my new page creation process. So that'll be a £900 fee up front to get me on board the writing process, the drafting process, and that also includes coding and uploading the page to Wikipedia, and of course going back and forth doing revisions, which is really the part of any project that really takes a lot of time. If the subject doesn't understand Wikipedia's content policies and guidelines and is trying to push through content that Wikipedia aren't going to accept, then that's going to delay the process, because I'm not going to publish anything that violates any of Wikipedia's content policies and guidelines from any of my accounts. And subjects can try and bully me all they want, but I'm very, very thick-skinned and I'm very, very stubborn. I've been doing this for 8 years. I will use the sources that I've identified as useful from the preliminary assessment. I'll only use sources that are useful for establishing notability and contributing to notability. If there are axiomatic facts that a reliable secondary source can't support, then occasionally I might use a primary source, but where no secondary sources are available. But generally speaking, I like to avoid using any kind of primary sources on a new page creation upload. I will focus solely on showing, not telling Wikipedia's new page reviewers why the subject is notable via reliable secondary sources. It all comes down to the source selection at the end of the day. Your actual written content, obviously that's got to be on point and on par with Wikipedia's content policies, guidelines and manual of style. But what the new page reviewers are really looking at is the sources, and do the sources support the content of the page's actual text. Sometimes people like to kind of, synthesize their own conclusions from by combining source A, B and C to produce a new outcome. And while synthesis is acceptable in journalism or other forms of non-fiction writing, it's not acceptable in encyclopedic writing. Wikipedia considers synthesis or any kind of embellishment of the sources. They consider that to be original research, which Wikipedia does not publish original research. I will not use low quality sources linked to the client, such as the client's LinkedIn profile or press releases, because these do not contribute towards notability. Client will be invited to leave feedback and make suggestions in the draft on Google Docs in comment mode. I don't accept any feedback via email. It's really important to me that you submit your feedback via the Google draft in comment mode or suggestion mode, so I can actually see how it relates to the content. Obviously, any given time I might be dealing with up to 10, 15 different subjects at the same time. So if I've got somebody who's not following my process, that's going to delay their project. The client will be I've already read that bit. So often what usually happens when I share the draft with a subject or client in Google Docs is they then request editorial privileges. Any requests for editorial privileges on the Google document will be declined by myself. I insist that any kind of edit suggestions are made in suggestion mode or comment mode. The client should check the draft and make sure they're happy with it before I code it and upload it. Once the page is in main space, if you need any more kind of post-upload edits, then first of all I'm going to want my commission, because if you're asking me for edits that blatantly violate Wikipedia's content policies and guidelines or not, if you're asking me for anything that's going to put the upload at risk, then I want my commission before I make any changes to the live page. And any changes to the live page will be done as part of an editing package or at my hourly rate if we have established a good rapport throughout the page creation and drafting process. I will upload the draft directly to main space, unlike white hat editors who submit the drafts through the draft review process, or the slush pile as I like to call it, because I am technically a black hat. I can bypass that process, which shaves about 6 months off a page creation process, so it's much quicker doing it through me. But obviously I am stringent, and I take a lot of care to make sure that I'm not violating any Wikipedia's content policies or guidelines. That's why I prefer to identify as a grey hat instead of a black hat. So altogether, the drafting, coding and uploading of a new Wikipedia entry should take approximately 15 hours at my hourly rate of £120 per hour. Any kind of malingering clients who are just constantly asking for revisions that blatantly violate the platform's content policies, guidelines or manual of style, they will be moved to the back of my queue. I will macro edit the draft in Google Documents prior to upload to ensure the page is as sticky as it possibly can be. By sticky I mean, is it making the strongest case for notability in the clearest possible way? I don't want to waste any new page reviewers' times. Ideally, a new page upload should be a 2 or 3 minute read. Anything longer, and the new page reviewers, you risk, making them bored. but also it's quite rare for a Wikipedia page to pop up as a B class article, and certainly in those cases I've noticed that if I when I have uploaded B class articles and they've been ranked as B class articles, they then not disabled, but they don't enable the line of code on the back end that makes the page searchable by Google search bots. So generally, I try and aim for something, start class or C class. I have uploaded B class articles before, and I'm very proud of that fact. But generally speaking, you don't want to upload anything too lengthy. You just want to make your case for notability in the clearest, shortest, and most concise terms. So brevity, as well as being the soul of wit, is also the soul of encyclopediaing. What else? Yeah, so once the page is live, you then wait for a new page reviewer to come along and review it. Once they've reviewed it, ranked it, preferably start class or above, then my commission is due. If the client needs some ongoing maintenance, I am now doing a new page development and maintenance subscription service. You can look at that via my website shop at wikinative.com/shop. New page creation. Once the new page creation is live and Wikipedia's maiden space, any edits to the live page are outside of the new page creation project scope. So if you do require ongoing maintenance and ongoing kind of updates here and there, it is really worth investing in that subscription service. Right, so yeah, that is pretty much it. That is my new page creation process in a nutshell. Key takeaways are always aim to establish notability in the clearest possible terms. Never ever try and promote yourself or your business on Wikipedia, especially on a new Wikipedia page upload. And always try to make sure that every element of the page is contributing to establishing notability via Wikipedia's definition of notability. And I have done another video on that, which you can view here on Wikinative TV. Feel free to email me with any questions you have. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you very much.